3 million pages. 3 million. If you read nonstop, no sleep, no breaks, it would take you nearly 10 years to finish them all. That is the volume of documents released by the U.S. government in March 2026 related to Jeffrey Epstein, a man convicted of abusing dozens of minors, a man who flew with billionaires, who attended parties with politicians, who appeared alongside royalty, and then he died in prison, a death that, to this day, remains controversial. When these files were made public, many people believed, finally, the truth will come out. Names would appear. Networks would be exposed. Those behind it all would pay the price. But what happened next was completely different. Just hours after the release, something strange began to happen. Many figures, long associated with rumors about Epstein, suddenly went silent. No interviews, no public appearances, no explanations, as if someone had flipped a mute switch. Meanwhile, the FBI released a shocking statement. We found no evidence of any so-called client list, no registry, no direct proof, with millions of pages in hand, yet not a single document clearly stating who participated, who covered it up, who was protected. So the question is, what do those 3 million pages actually contain? And more importantly, what was removed before the public ever saw it? To understand this, we need to go back. For years, the Epstein Files were sealed, not because of a lack of evidence, but because they involved too many sensitive individuals. Lawyers, journalists, and victims' families kept demanding transparency. They wanted to know who flew with Epstein, who visited his private island, who helped him evade justice. For so many years, the pressure kept growing. And in 2026, the U.S. government was forced to open the archives. But when experts began reading, they noticed something disturbing. Large sections were blacked out. Entire passages were deleted. Many names had vanished. The public was shown the files, but maybe not the whole truth. If you only look at Jeffrey Epstein through the media, his image feels confusing. He was not a tech billionaire, not an entertainment star. He did not own a famous corporation. Yet he somehow knew almost everyone powerful in the world. So the question is, how does someone like that climb to the top of society? The answer starts early. Epstein was born in 1953 into a middle-class family in Brooklyn, New York. No elite background, no outstanding academic record. He even dropped out of college. But Epstein had one special skill. He knew how to make people feel important. When he was young, he worked as a math teacher, then moved into finance, and slowly entered elite circles. Epstein did not sell products. He sold connections. He introduced this person to that one, linked businessmen with politicians, connected money with power. Over time, Epstein became a middleman, someone everyone found useful. And when you become useful to the elite, you get protected. According to investigation records, Epstein owned or controlled multiple luxury properties, a mansion in Manhattan, a resort in Florida, a ranch in New Mexico, and most famously, a private island in the Caribbean, often called the Pleasure Island. There were no paparazzi, no police, no outsiders, only invited guests, and Epstein's private jet, commonly known as the Lolita Express, constantly transported powerful figures to and from these locations. Flight logs show politicians, billionaires, scientists, lawyers, royal figures. They arrived, they stayed, then they left. No one asked too many questions. According to victims' testimonies, Epstein did not search for girls himself. He built an entire recruitment network. Young girls were invited for massages. At first, it was just money, then requests, then pressure, then threats. Some were later forced to recruit others. The system began to multiply itself. Like a pyramid, at the top was Epstein. Below were his associates. Below them were the victims. And on the outside were the clients, who never appeared. In nearly every file, one name always appeared. Next to Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of a media tycoon. Powerful background, deep connections. According to testimony, Maxwell recruited, trained, and controlled the victims. She was not just an assistant. She was the systems operator. In 2021, Maxwell was convicted, but Epstein was not. He was dead, taking many secrets with him. The more people read the files, the clearer it became. Epstein was not the ultimate boss. He was a gatekeeper. Anyone who wanted access to this power network had to go through him. Anyone who wanted to keep secrets also depended on him. And when one person holds too many secrets, that person becomes a threat. So the question is, what secrets did Epstein hold? And who was most afraid of them being exposed? For many years, when Jeffrey Epstein's name was exposed, many people spoke out. They said, "I only met him a few times. I didn't know what he was doing. I wasn't involved. I was also a victim of his deception." It sounded reasonable, because everyone has the right to protect themselves. But when the files were released, people began placing those statements next to the data, and things became far more complicated. Inside the documents, there were flight records, not rumors, not secondhand stories. Data, dates, times, departure points, destinations, passenger lists. Many names appeared, not just once, twice, 3 times, then many more. Some people had insisted, "I never went to Epstein's island." But the records showed they had flown on his private jet. Maybe they did nothing wrong, but they were there. Beyond flight logs, there were emails, thousands of them, dinner invitations, private meetings, personal conversations. Some people once said, "I only met Epstein at public events." But in the emails, they used familiar nicknames. They arranged private meetings. They shared personal information. This was not a casual social relationship. Many figures in the files were known for their public image: humanitarian, progressive, ethical, community-focused. They spoke about protecting children, about social justice, about human values. Yet at the same time, their names appeared in documents linked to Epstein. Not verdicts, not legal conclusions, just presence. And sometimes, that presence alone is enough to raise questions. When the files were released in 2026, something noticeable happened. Very few people spoke publicly. No press conferences, no long interviews, no detailed explanations, only short statements. "I deny all allegations. I'm not involved. I'm cooperating with authorities." Then, silence. Lawyers handled the rest. Media images were managed. Crises were contained quickly. The key issue here is not who is guilty, who is innocent. Only courts can decide that. The real question is, why do powerful people always have the tools to avoid explaining themselves? While victims must tell their stories again and again, must prove they are not lying, must endure doubt, must endure scrutiny. In the Epstein case, one thing became very clear. One standard for ordinary people, another standard for the elite. If you are unknown, one suspicion can destroy your life. If you have power, money, connections, you have time, you have lawyers, you have media control, you have silence to let things fade away. The 2026 files did not convict everyone, but they revealed something. Many people were very close to the center of the case. Many people were inside the danger zone, but very few were held publicly accountable. So in the end, are we seeing the truth, or only the part of the truth that is allowed to appear? When people look back at the entire Jeffrey Epstein case, many have asked, how could someone like this operate openly for decades? The answer is, because he was never alone. Epstein survived because an entire system stood behind him. In 2005, Florida police received the first complaint. A 14-year-old girl said she had been abused inside Epstein's mansion. After that, more than 30 other victims came forward. The evidence was strong. The witnesses were many. If this had been an ordinary person, the case would have ended right there, with a very heavy sentence. But Epstein was not ordinary. In 2008, he faced federal prosecution. He could have received life in prison. Then, something unbelievable happened. His lawyers reached a special deal with prosecutors. Under this deal, Epstein pleaded guilty. only to minor state charges. He was sentenced to 18 months and granted work release. He could leave jail during the day, return at night, like on an office job, for crimes involving minors. Inside that agreement, there was one small line, easy to miss, but extremely important. Epstein and any potential co-conspirators were granted permanent immunity, which meant not only was Epstein protected, anyone connected to him was protected too. One sentence, shielding an entire network. The man behind this deal was Alexander Acosta, the federal prosecutor at the time. Later, he became U.S. Secretary of Labor. When questioned, he said, "I was told to leave Epstein alone." He never said who told him. He never explained further. That was all. Epstein did not hire ordinary lawyers. He hired the best in America. Lawyers for presidents. Lawyers for major banks. Lawyers for billionaires. They did more than defend him. They applied pressure, negotiated behind closed doors, controlled information, and they did it very well. There was another shocking detail. By law, victims must be informed when a deal is made. But in the Epstein case, they were told nothing. The agreement was signed behind their backs. They only found out after everything was over. Justice was decided in closed rooms. Later, many FBI agents admitted they wanted to investigate further, but they were blocked. Cases were reassigned. Authorities were removed. Pressure was applied. No one said it directly, but everyone understood. Some doors were not meant to be opened. Looking at the bigger picture, a pattern appears. Money, lawyers, prosecutors, politics, media, a closed circle. Everyone benefits, except the victims. Then came 2019. Epstein was arrested again, this time by federal authorities. No deal, no escape. For the first time, the system itself was at risk of being exposed. And then, Epstein died in jail. After his death, no major trial, no public testimony, no powerful figures dragged into the light. The system was safe again. So the question remains, was it coincidence? Or was it the system's final act of self-protection? August 10th, 2019, around 6:30 in the morning, a federal prison officer opened a cell door in Manhattan. Inside, Jeffrey Epstein was lying motionless. Official cause, suicide. The report said he hanged himself using bedsheets. The case was closed within hours. But from that moment on, the entire world began asking questions. Epstein was being held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, one of the most secure federal prisons in the United States. High-risk inmates, cameras everywhere, 24-hour surveillance. There should have been no room for mistakes. But that night, almost everything went wrong. The camera facing Epstein's cell was not working. No footy, no data, nothing to verify. A perfect blind spot. According to internal reports, 2 guards were assigned to check on Epstein every 30 minutes. That night, they did not check on him for more than 3 hours. Later, they said they had fallen asleep. At the same time, during the most critical shift, a few days before his death, Epstein had a cellmate, a former police officer. That inmate was suddenly transferred. Epstein was left alone. No clear explanation. 2 weeks earlier, Epstein had been found unconscious. There were signs of a possible suicide attempt or an assault. No one was certain. After that incident, he was placed under suicide watch. Then, it was removed without explanation. The New York City medical examiner ruled the death a suicide, but an independent expert, hired by the family, said the neck fractures looked more like strangulation. 2 conclusions, 2 completely different directions, and no full public hearing. When Epstein died, there was no trial, no key witness, no testimony. Many people were suddenly safe. The Department of Justice launched an internal investigation. Its conclusion: administrative errors, staff shortages, poor management. The 2 guards received minor punishment. Then their charges were dropped. No senior officials were held responsible. If there had been only one failure, it might have been believable. But here, there were many. Cameras broken, guards asleep, cellmate removed, suicide watch lifted, missing records, all at the same time. In the most sensitive case in the country, victims' families protested, lawyers asked questions, journalists investigated. Then, everything slowed down. Fewer headlines, less attention. The story was buried. Jeffrey Epstein died, but the case did not. It was simply frozen. If Epstein had lived, who would have been exposed? If Epstein had spoken, who would have been in trouble? And was he ever allowed to live long enough to speak? 3 million pages of files, hundreds of names, one dead man, so many questions, so few answers. And maybe this is how power really works. Not with guns, but with silence. If you have watched until now, you probably have many questions too. What do you think about Jeffrey Epstein's death? Was it an accident, a chain of failures, or something else? And in your opinion, does the inability to prosecute most people involved really mean they are innocent? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I would love to read them and discuss with you. Thank you for taking the time to watch.